to another eventful episode of the Kubuntu Podcast. Now we're getting better at this all the time. Every show is a new experience where we've got something new to play with. So we've got a few new things going on today, but let me get right into it. So welcome aboard. Great to see you all. We'll tell you a bit more about what's going on. I'm Rick Timmis, and joining me today, I've got my good co-host, Aaron Honeycutt. How are you, mate?
All right. A little bit sick, but I'm here.
Good stuff, good stuff. Bit of a tragedy at the moment. Ovidiu Florin Bogdan is not with us, and that might be my fault, and I might be in lots of trouble, but maybe he might just turn up. We hope he will. But another special surprise for you, because I want to welcome our very special guest joining us this evening. We've got Marius Gripsgard. Marius, hello, mate. Great that you're here. Delighted to have you on as a guest. How are you?
I'm excellent, Rick. Excellent to see you here too.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we're really delighted that you could take some time to come and join us here. So we're really pleased about that. Let me give those listening to the show a quick 30-second summary of what we're going to be getting into today. So Marius is going to be joining us in the In Focus section, and we've got lots of really cool, interesting information about the UbPorts project, all to do with Ubuntu on mobile devices. Obviously, we've had the developer team, and we've been talking to them, so we've got some developer news for you as well. We've got a new segment, of course, for our Linux gaming, which Aaron is going to take us through. We've got all the news and, of course, some listener feedback. And, of course, we've also got this new platform that we're working on. So if you're watching this on the live stream, then jump to the Google Plus account. You can find that we're actually using our big blue button system, which we talk about in the sponsorship. And you can find links to that. And, of course, that means that you can come down here and join us in the Kubuntu Podcast studio. We've got a video link, audio link, and chat links. So do feel free to pop in, drop by. And of course, for you guys who are here with us in the studio right now, it means you can ask us questions and you can direct foolish people like me that don't stay on script and say, shut up, Rick, stay on the script. All right. So let's catch up with everybody for a brief moment and find out what everybody has been up to since the last show. So let me start with you, Aaron. How's things been going with you, and what have you been working on since we last saw you?
I've been working on my app UCycle for Ubuntu Touch with somewhat success so far. The setting page sets the location that you can specify with a zip code if you're in the US or by city. Do we want to talk about the load node thing now, or for this?
No. You can. Let me just have a look at the show notes and see where you've got that. I thought you got that in the show notes. Yeah. So yeah. Tell us. We've got a segment for this as well, so we'll cover it from the other angle. But I don't want to give the game away. So you tell us, what's this Linode thing? What have you been up to?
So when I went to Self last month, I had already been talking with Linode about a sponsorship for Kubuntu to use some of their VPS or two for Dojo and for packaging. And
yes,
they pushed my requests, and now we have a year sponsorship from Linode.
Ooh, yeah. Now that we like. A whole year of sponsorship for some servers for us to use for the community for building and packaging. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, with a huge 384 gigabyte SSD.
All right.
24 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes up and 2 down, I believe, of traffic.
All right. So can we install Jenkins on it?
I'm going to point you at Philip for that one, because he's going to maintain dicing that up for everybody.
Okay, right. So Phil's going to take care of that. Oh, magic. Okay, that's really awesome news, actually, and we'll cover that a little bit more in the sponsor section, because we've got some information about Linode as well that we want to tell people about what they're doing for us. But that's absolutely awesome, Linode. Thank you very much. We in the Kubuntu community, our fellow friends, really appreciate that kind of support. That equipment is really important for the things that we do. and it's going to be well used and put to good use to help us in the community. So that's really, really cool. And well done to you, Aaron, as well, for getting out there and negotiating that. Let me just investigate that for a little bit. How did that conversation get about? How did you get switched onto that? And how did you manage to blag them into doing it?
I was already using Linode since last year when I went to Self, and they gave me, they gave everyone who signed up $50 credit with their email. So I started using them, and they're fantastic with their traffic. I get almost about 700 and 800 megabits up and about 100 down, which is fantastic for me. And SSDs are super quick, and they mirror everything. They mirror the whole Ubuntu archive, so you can just download and update right from their servers versus going all the way to UK. And
so did you find it difficult to get that conversation going, or did you just talk to them on the Southeast Linux Fest stand and say, hey guys, how about giving us some free stuff for Kubuntu?
I believe I tweeted to them about a sponsorship, and then they directed me to their ticketing system and got into talks with them, and it worked out now.
Do you know what? Now,
a week or two.
Now that's really great. If we could, I mean, the fact that you managed to generate that sponsorship and that interest in our community just from a Twitter tweet to a company, it shows you what other people in the community could do if they wanted to just tweet somebody for whatever the resource might be. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but sometimes, because we are an open, voluntary community and we bring such a lot of value back in terms of the operating system that we put together and produce, I think that people in the tech world would respond quite favorably to us. And Clive says here in the chat, says stickers. Yeah, stickers, printing, maybe people could do some gifts like T-shirts or things like this that we could put out in competitions and things like that. So if you guys out there in the community have got any ideas for those kinds of things, then don't tell us. This here in Kubuntu, it's a duocracy. So go and blag some gear and fetch it here.
What video knows about that?
All right, that's cool. That's really excellent. Okay, so have you got a commit of UCycle at the moment? Is the app? Have you got an initial version, or how far away are you with that?
What, UCycle?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've finally got it to set a location as a variable and update the page, I finally got around to making an icon for it too.
Okay, so it's nearly there.
Yeah, it's getting close. I don't have a release out yet. It's not a 1.0 release yet.
All right. Okay, good stuff. Well, we'll look forward to that, and I'm sure there'll be plenty in the community that will test it once you've got it going. I'll certainly give it a go. I'll load it on one of my devices. You just let me know when it's ready. All right. So, have you been up to anything else since we've seen you last, or has that kept you largely busy?
That's been... Well, I started testing around with Unity 8 on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been tons of fun trying to get Terminal to be installed.
Okay.
It just comes with the browser and that's it. As Michael Hall said, I'm dog fooding it now. Trying to get out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Good stuff. All right, so we'll obviously know a video with us right now, and obviously can ask Marius what he's been up to since we last saw him, because this is his inaugural visit to the show. But let me just ask you a couple of questions about where you're coming to us from, though. So whereabouts in the world are you, Marius?
I am in the cold Norway.
Norway, okay, yeah, all right, awesome country, good stuff. And I know you've been along to. We've had your company a couple of times on at a couple of the Kubuntu parties, and so we've got to get to know you a little bit. And have you been following the podcast here as well?
Yeah, actually, I have been seeing some on YouTube when I was browsing around. I also was here on the Ubuntu Online Summit. I joined the podcast.
Yes, that's right. I remember that. That's good stuff. All right. So I'm just going to post a link to, where's Zoe asking? He was asking, when does it start? Now, there we go. Sorry, I just put that into the chat window as to where to come to. All right. So, well, we're going to come back to you and spend quite a lot more time with you. And I know we've got a few questions lined up for people there in the audience or people watching the live stream or people on in the IRC, which is hashtag Kubuntu-podcast, or anybody in Kubuntu itself on IRC. If you want to know specific questions about the UbPorts project, which is what Marius is working on, then do pop them into the chat or give us a nudge on IRC, and we'll make sure that we speak more to Marius about that and get your questions answered. Or, of course, better still, come on down to the Big Blue Button studio, join us on the podcast, and you can ask Mario yourself. Okay, so, well, a couple of things that I've been up to recently that interested me quite a lot. I've been using Let's Encrypt to set up some HTTPS websites. I launched a new website just earlier this year, and I actually been working on it in the background, and I've got it live. One of the things that I really love to do is I love to travel around in a motorhome. My family have got a motorhome, and we go and drive around the place and visit different things. And I wanted to set up a group, a community for that, so I set up something called the Motorhome Club.net, and I built a website for that and a community around it and so on and so forth. And I'd been using Let's Encrypt for that. And the point I wanted to mention was just wanted to make mention to this, and there is a link in the show notes as well, about this. There was a trademark brand to do with Let's Encrypt, and basically, which was a challenge from the Komodo group, and that's all been going through the courts. And the thing that I wanted to mention here was really the power of community, because obviously Let's Encrypt are a voluntary organization. I know they're quite big in our community, but in the global world, in the multinational global world, big corporations like Komodo are quite a challenge. Well, the link, as you'll see in the show notes, tells you that Komodo Group have now ceased and desisted. So they're going to not challenge the trademarks for Let's Encrypt, and that means that nice free HTTPS system that they've got has been a great success, and it's one up for the community. And so I was really pleased to see that. And it'd be rude of me not to make mention, and I've got to be very careful how I do this. But obviously here in the UK, we had a big referendum. It's been really crazy busy for the last month. There's been nothing on the television, on the news, except whether you're going to vote in or out or shake it all about, or maybe you'll do the okie dokie or whatever it might be. And it's been total bonkers land, almost complete hysteria. And that's taken up lots and lots of time, my personal time as well, because it's something I'm particularly been interested in and been involved in that community as well. So I've been heavily involved in that, and even started making some YouTube videos again to try to put some messages out there. So that's been, well, actually been great fun. I find that I find politics very interesting and can be quite challenging. And although there are plenty out there that wouldn't describe it as fun, but that's what I've been doing, and it's been keeping me very, very busy. Okay, right. Let me just make mention of our sponsor. So we'll go into our sponsor segment. Just want to make a mention of, we've been having a really lot of success with the Big Blue Button platform, which has been provided to us by Fred Dixon and his team from Big Blue Button. And those of you that have attended the Kubuntu parties, you will have seen our Big Blue Button. And of course, now if you want to come and join the podcast, you can experience it as well and see it in action. Basically, it provides a full video, audio, presentation, screen share, and whiteboard tools with chat rooms and voice and audio bridges, cameras, etc. Effectively an online virtual studio that's primarily targeted at teaching and for use in classrooms and education, and we do use it like that, and I'll tell you a bit more about the Kubuntu Dojo in the news section. But they've been really, really great in providing that for us and hosting it for us. So we're very grateful to Fred Dixon and the team over at bigbluebutton.org. Please do go check out their project and tell them that you heard about them from us here at the Kubuntu Podcast. Okay, so Now, without there seems to be very little in Kubuntu news at the moment, probably because we've still been reeling from Show 13. I don't know if anybody's even had a chance to see Show 13. It may well be, guys, that Show 13 actually doesn't exist. But it was like something out of a Halloween movie trying to get Show 13 together. I mean, it was just total facepalm. You've never seen the likes of it, but we have got the show. We do have a recording of it, and we will be sorting that out, and we'll get it up for posterity and laughs and comedy on the website in due course. One item of news that I wanted to talk about, though, is the Kubuntu Dojo. So, as you know, here at Kubuntu, we're trying to grow the community, and there is lots of work to be done and loads of opportunities. And what we wanted to do was to create a training environment or a training program so that new people to the Kubuntu system and to packaging Ubuntu packages and also packaging KDE software could get involved. So we have set up a once a month dojo, which is a training program. You can find out information about it on the website, and links will be in the show notes. We had Kubuntu Dojo number 2, which was the last one, just last week. And we took a look at debugging packaging, and we successfully actually built and packaged a couple of things from their source code and got some things functioning. So we'd be delighted if you wanted to come along and join that. So far, we've now grown the Launchpad Kubuntu Ninjas group up to about 14 people that are in that group now that are training, and some people have gone on beyond that as well. So if I understand it correctly, one of our yellow belt ninjas, Asheron UK, has just graduated to become a full ninja for Kubuntu packaging. So absolutely great news, and congratulations to you, Asheron UK. Okay. I don't have any more news in the Kubuntu section, probably because the administration team have been very slag. But do you have any Kubuntu news for us, Aaron? Have you got anything else you want to add in this section? You don't have to make anything up, don't worry, and don't feel like you're on the spot. If you haven't got anything you want to bring, that's absolutely fine. It's my fault for not getting it organised. I promise that I will try harder and do better next time. Okay, let's jump into our elevator picks. This is the section that we had introduced a couple of shows ago. And this is where we get a chance to pick an app. Now, Ovidiu's not here right now, so he can't tell us. But I wonder whether you got a chance to find anything interesting in the software center that you've had a chance to have a play with, Aaron.
I haven't looked recently, but I can recommend. Can't pronounce the name right. It's basic. There's a GNOME improvement Wake. It's a drop-down terminal. It's a KDE port of it.
Oh yes, Guake, Guake. I think it's pronounced, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay. And have you been using that yourself? Do you use that now?
I used to use it. I just every time I reinstall, I haven't gotten around to installing it yet. That's one of my favorite things I need to get that I particularly like to use. It's very helpful with F12, and I think it'd be even more useful now that I have a micro keyboard that has 5 different buttons on them.
Okay. Well, so I just got a quick message from Ovidiu there, who said he doesn't think he's going to make it. That is my fault again. Terrible, shoddy admin for the last show, because of course they didn't publish show 14 or give any dates from it. So my bad, and I'm really sorry about that, Ovidiu, and my apologies. Well, I did look in the Software Discovery Center, and I've used this tool. Well, I haven't actually used this tool in anger. I wish I knew about this tool when I was making an animation with my children. So I made a little Lego animation with my children, and which we made about a 30-second video with some music and stuff. And by taking lots and lots of pictures on my mobile phone, keeping the phone still, and then doing stop motion animation with these pictures. And eventually, afterwards, I thought to myself, I wonder if there is some tool in the Discovery Center for that. So I went to the Discovery Center and I typed animation, and I found a Qt application called Stop Motion. Stop Motion describes itself as a simple animation creator, and in short, it is ace. Absolutely brilliant piece of kit. You can connect your little webcam, stand it up on a box, set your environment up, and this thing will allow you to take photos one at a time. And it'll allow you to set the timeline and the frame rate, and obviously peg out the pictures that you need. It'll show you that on the timeline. But also, what's really cool about it is it has a ghosting, like an onion skin type effect. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to superimpose the current image from your webcam as live stream video onto the previous image frame. So, of course, if you're moving models around or moving the scene around, you can see precisely how much change is going to take place in the next frame. Then you can obviously hit the snapshot button, and it takes a picture and then moves along to the next. So it makes making stop motion animation much simpler, and it's absolutely great fun to have playing around. And so if you've got a little portable webcam, or even something like that you can plug in, have a look at Stop Motion, simple animation creator. You find it in the Discovery Center on Kubuntu, and have hours of fun. What would be amazing is if somebody was out there in the community, maybe wanted to make a little stop motion animation, perhaps for the Kubuntu podcast, and share with us, or share it on YouTube. That'd be really awesome, and we could cover that and take a look at that in the next show. So that was my recommendation for this show this time. All right. Okay, so now I've been pressing along a little bit because I wanted to make sure that we got plenty of time for this in focus section, because we're going to be chatting to Marius Gripsgard of the UbPorts project. So chuffed to bits to have you here with us, Marius. How are you? How are things going?
I'm excellent.
Good stuff.
Excited and thankful that you guys invited me here.
You're more than welcome. It's great to have you on, and to be able to talk a little bit more about this. Okay, so first of all, can you tell us a little bit about the UbPorts project, what it is you're doing, and what problem it is that you're trying to solve?
First of all, I can start with the problem. The problem that I see is there is a lack of Ubuntu Touch devices. And as we see in the Android community, there is lots of ROM. You can just install SideGMod and it just works on nearly every device. And that's the problem that I want to fix. I want to be able to install Ubuntu or KDE Plasma Mobile on your phone without needing to port it yourself. Just install one command and install it on your device. Like, for example, this Fairphone.
Oh, okay. Which phone is that you've got there?
This is the Fairphone 2. It's a modular phone. I have one here. The Fairphone is actually pretty cool. I have one here. You can actually take the screen off the phone with just two of these clips at the bottom, and then you just swipe it forward, and the whole screen, and take the whole screen off. Just
wow.
Like that. And everything is modular. Everything is labeled. It's just one screw holding some parts, and someone just clipped in.
Fantastic. That's really good. And you say that that's now running Ubuntu Touch?
Yes.
Awesome. That's really, really good. That's really good. So Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. So, so how many devices at the moment have you got Ubuntu Touch working on to date?
I have some problems with my camera.
I noticed that. We lost you there. Well, we've still got your audio though, Marius.
Okay.
Perhaps you'll be able to get your camera working again.
Just give me a minute to reload the page.
Okay, cool. That's no problem at all. Whilst we just have a digression from that, of course, one of the things that I saw mentioned here, of course, is that Kubuntu Podcast, we've now got a Steam gaming group, haven't we, Aaron? We've got a bit of a... Cool. How can people, what do people need to search for to find out about that? To go on Steam and search for just Kubuntu?
I need to go into the group section, steamcommunity.com/group, so you can search for Kubuntu Podcast in there.
Okay, cool. Well, I know there's a few of us starting to gather around there, and there's a little bit of interest going on. So maybe we'll get a chance to visit that a little bit more when we come to the gaming section in a little while. But Marius has fixed his camera, so he's back. So how many devices have you got Ubuntu Touch running on so far, then, Marius?
I have quite a few actually, and something that I just got working as we was in this blue button call is now the Nexus 7. I just got it to work, and it's now running Ubuntu Touch. It has no Wi-Fi or stuff like that, but it's at least booting Ubuntu Touch, and the graphical interface is working. Other than that, I have the Fairphone, as I mentioned. I also have the OnePlus One. It's running, and that has a voice call and everything working. I don't have a SIM card in it right now, but that's working on this device, 4G and all that good stuff. We also have the OnePlus X. This doesn't have battery on it, but it's booting Ubuntu Touch.
Okay.
It's on charging, which you probably can see because my camera died again.
Yeah, I noticed that, but carry on. You'll have to be a bit more descriptive, which is good for the audio listeners anyway. So tell us a bit about the phone that you're holding up.
Yeah, it's the Nexus 5.
Okay.
The Nexus 5 is quite interesting because that's the device that is fully working. Everything is working on it right now. I just got everything working here last week, and it's now a perfect daily driver. I have actually been using this device as my daily driver myself, and I absolutely love it.
Okay. And
I
please
do have more. I have more
You've
devices.
got more? Yes, keep going. Tell us. Take us through them all. Tell us all of the devices that you've got Ubuntu Touch working on, and tell us a little bit about the device. If there's anything specifically interesting or novel about it.
I have one more it's running Ubuntu Touch. That's a tablet. It's a Nexus 7 tablet. And I got two more devices that does not yet boot Ubuntu Touch. Actually, I got three more devices that does not boot Ubuntu Touch yet. The two that's least interesting is the Nexus 5X and the OnePlus 2. But the one that actually is one of my favorite devices right now, that I absolutely love to see Ubuntu Touch on, is the OnePlus 3. It has 6 gigabit amount of RAM. It has excellent camera, and processor is just excellent on it. So it's a perfect converged device.
And that's the. Sorry, could you just repeat the model of that again?
It's a OnePlus 3, the newest OnePlus 3.
OnePlus 3. I'm just going to quickly look that up because that what you said there when you said 6 gig. Does it come with 6 gigs of RAM on board?
Yes, it has 6 gigabit of RAM. It's
whoa, that sounds amazing. And So what is the Meizu Profile its processor?
I couldn't hear what you say. You are cutting out.
I'm sorry, I tried to load the OnePlus 3 website and it tried to stream some video in on me to tell me all about it, and everything went wrong. So I got rid of that. But I am going to put a link in the show notes in this segment for that one. So forgive me if I didn't get the answer to that, Marius. So you say it's got 6 gigs of RAM, and you said it's a perfect converged device. So what do you mean when you say that? Does it work with an external monitor, and if so, how?
Yeah, it does work with an external monitor, but it's wirelessly. It's doing it through the Mariocast protocol, or as we call it, the Ethercast. And that's what I would say. A converged device isn't necessarily a device with HDMI. A converged device, in my opinion, is a device that can handle a desktop environment. So let's say the OnePlus One. Let's say the OnePlus 3, which has 6 GB RAM, one of the most powerful system on chips and CPUs out there. It can definitely run some of the most popular Linux apps.
Okay. And so, so for example, for somebody who's suddenly highly interested and excited, like me, how do I go about, if I buy a OnePlus 3, obviously I can't buy this with Ubuntu Touch installed from the manufacturer. So, so how do I go about doing that? Do I come to the UbPorts website, or do I send it to you in Norway?
Right now, it doesn't have Ubuntu Touch running on it. I just got the device, I guess it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I haven't yet got around to start porting on it. As you might know, I have lots of devices to go through. But when it's running Ubuntu Touch, it's really easy actually. You install the necessary tools from the Software Center or Snappy. It will be a Snappy package soon where you can just download it. And also, when you have that downloaded, you run one command and it sets up everything on your phone. You might have to unlock the bootloader at first, but that's very good documented on our website and also documented on the forums on OnePlus.
Okay, all right. So, essentially, reasonably straightforward and easy for a beginner like me to do. Then,
yeah, we try to make it as easy as we can. That's one of my goals. Have it easy where everyone can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very important to be able to do that. All right, so we're moving on from the OnePlus 3. What other devices have you got going on there that you've got it working on?
One of the devices that I have it good working on, that was actually the first device I got it working on, is the OnePlus One. Okay. And the OnePlus One it does have amazing hardware also. So that's also a good commercial device, but it isn't as good as the OnePlus 3, obviously. But this is now becoming one of the most. It isn't now. It was the most powerful Ubuntu Touch device, but the profile stole its place. But it is pretty high up there as spec-wise. And nearly everything is working on it. Like Wi-Fi is working, Bluetooth is working, voice call is working, 4G is working, and it had better battery life than Android has.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is really, really cool. And certainly I love the idea of a converged phone with all that RAM and using XMIA, etc. It almost sounds like you can I have this kind of vision in my head of being able to have no computer at work, no laptop at work, just a monitor sitting on my desk and a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. And I roll into work with my phone, chuck it on the desk, connect it to the monitor via wireless and Bluetooth, and off I go, use the phone all day as my desktop computer, and then leave the office and on I go again. And
that's actually something I just want to throw it in there. I don't know if you heard about the Nexus dock.
No, I didn't.
But essentially, it's a laptop, but it's not a laptop. It doesn't have anything in it, like hardware-wise. It just have battery, a Bluetooth keyboard, and a Bluetooth keypad, and then the screen, of course. So it looks like a laptop, but you can connect your Ubuntu phone to it, and you use your phone as the hardware itself. And I really think that is really cool. And that's something like, for example, you can just take it with you and connect your phone to it, and you have full Linux desktop.
All right.
Are you ready?
And that
question using sticks?
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Yeah.
So how do people get started with how did you start the project?
How we got started with it? First, I started with the 1+1, started playing around with it, and I wanted to try to port Ubuntu Touch. And I got it working at the end. And then I saw that it was really hard for other developers to kind of understand and port Ubuntu Touch, because it's so different from Android, and most of the Android developers did expect it to be kind of the same. And I didn't see much result of new devices popping up. So that's why I started UbPorts. First, it started out as this community that was around to make documentations better and have a community around it. And then it slowly grew into me getting more devices and to how it is today, where we have lots of devices and we still do documentation and all of that. So that's not going away, but we kind of expanded it to where I did most of the porting. But still, everyone can come and port and help out the UbPorts project.
Okay, and so you're looking to grow the community of technical people that are getting involved and helping working on this. So where do people get in touch with you, Marius, to find out more about that? How can the community reach out to you?
I'm always on the IRC. I'm always there. I'm Marius Grip on IRC, and I also am on the UbPorts forums. And also, you can send me an email. My email address is listed on ubports.com. You can find the contact information there.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I guess the next question then is, obviously you've been working on this for a little while, and obviously there are going to be various devices. I've got various different quirks and attributes. So what's been the hardest device to port Ubuntu Touch to?
Oh, yeah, the hardest device is definitely 64-bit devices, ARM 64-bit devices, and non-Nexus devices. The reason for that is Nexus devices are often more open than other devices. And also 64-bit is not quite supported in Ubuntu Touch, because Ubuntu Touch is 34-bit, but it runs on top of 64-bit Android. So that's definitely those two harder devices. And the hardest device that I would say has been the Nexus 5X. I haven't been able to port it just yet.
Right, so that you're still wrestling with that one, and
Yeah.
so what's been your blocker at the moment? Kind of, could we get into the technicalities of that a little bit? Kind of, do you know what's blocking you? What are your next steps from here?
The biggest blocker obviously is time. I don't have that much time to work on that device. Other than that is the 64-bit. I'm not familiar with it. The kernel has to be different. The tool chains have to be different, and the build system is different. Our build system, our Android tree is not optimized for 64-bit devices yet. So that's quite a lot of work that I need to do there.
Okay, cool. And so when you're going about doing these ports and doing this what's the most difficult bit then? What's the biggest challenge? What's the hardest bit of a port to do?
The hardest bit, I would say, is the radio bit. The voice call and get it to work with cellular network. It's definitely the hardest one, because so much of it is locked down, and some of it is locked down due to laws, because you have to have locked down the source code for the radio, so people can't modify the frequency and everything. So radio, I would say radio and GPS are the two worst or hardest thing to port.
And so do you think those problems might be solved perhaps if the manufacturers would be a bit more helpful and perhaps give you access perhaps to some of their internal information or assist there? And do you think there's any hope of that happening?
It would be very helpful to have the manufacturer help out, yes. But I would also like to see more of the drivers be open, more open source, because most of the drivers in Android is closed sourced. The graphic stack is closed source, all closed source, and that's the hardest thing. Working with closed source drivers is really hard.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And so you got a question there, Aaron? Yeah.
Have any OEMs, original equipment and manufacturers, reached out to you to give you?
Yeah. Fairphone did, and OnePlus didn't connect me directly, but they contacted Canonical, and actually same with Fairphone, they connected to Canonical, and Canonical come to me.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Okay, so you're working quite closely with Canonical on Ubuntu Touch on platforms. So, for example, did you do any work on the BQ stuff, the Aquarius?
No.
Okay.
That's all. I don't know who's doing that, but my guess would be BQ is doing the work.
Okay, cool, doing it themselves. All right, good stuff. Well, I know one of the questions that people in the community here at Kubuntu and the KDE community will want to ask is, of course, what's UbPorts is, what's your view on Plasma Mobile, and do you think there is any scope for you getting Plasma Mobile or doing anything with KDE and Plasma Mobile on mobile devices? What do you think?
Yeah, I do love choices, and I would love to see more Plasma Mobile devices. Right now, the only two devices I have seen is Nexus 5 and OnePlus 1. And I would love to see every device that I have run Plasma Mobile, where users can choose if they want Ubuntu Touch and run Unity 8, or if they want Plasma Mobile. I always been that on desktop and everything, so choice is good, and I would love to see more Plasma Mobile. Yes, and more desktop environment for that matter.
Yeah, so that'd be really good. So I know that there'll be people in the Kubuntu and the KDE community that are watching the podcast who are probably involved in the development or certainly working in the communities around Plasma Mobile. And I certainly know some of us have got connections with Sebastian. If those people are interested in contacting you and getting in touch with you, I take it that that'd be a welcome offering. And should they just use the same community channels to get in touch with you? How should they go about that, Marius?
Definitely, just send me an email or go to our forums or RSC. I would love to work together to get more Ubuntu touch devices and to get more Plasma Mobile devices. So
excellent.
And also we have the servers available if they want to host it on our side.
All right, that's fantastic news. So I think that so there's certainly opportunity there for people in the community to get involved and help and work with you on that as well, Marius. Aaron, you've got another question there.
How long have you been working on the project? And is it voluntary, or are you being paid by Conical for it, or an outside source?
I have been working on it about a year, but it didn't really started much as much as it is now before the start of this year. It was at the start of this year I really got into starting porting. Even though I have done the 1+1 long before that, but it was definitely the start of this year, or some weeks before Christmas, I really started doing porting. And yeah, it is voluntary. All I do is voluntary. The only thing that I get for it is there is donations, but everything is voluntary. But as I said, that I love doing this, so really I don't mind doing this voluntarily.
Fantastic. Okay. So now I know you've got yourself set up, or got an UbPorts project set up on Patreon. Could you tell us a bit more about that, Marius?
Yeah. Patreon was an idea of a friend of mine because I kind of want to, if I could work on this 100%. And quit my job, essentially. I could get more devices out. I could get lots of time to work on it. And then I could finish all my devices and maintain them, and also get more devices running Ubuntu Touch. But as the situation is right now, I have to have a job. And when I have a job, you are at the job and you are late at home, and then you don't have that much time to work on such big project as UbPorts has become.
And so hopefully then, so have you got any targets set for Patreon at the moment and what would those targets look like? And would you entertain the possibility of working with UbPorts project full time if you could generate enough support through Patreon?
Yes, definitely. I would love to work on this 100%, and that's kind of my goal, to work on this 100%. UbPorts, it's just my passion, and I absolutely love working on it.
Okay, and so now what I'd like you to do, if you can, is do you have a link to your Patreon account? Perhaps you could post it in the chat in Big Blue Button, and I'm going to add that to the show notes so that people looking there can find out more about it as well. There we go, got that. That is absolutely fantastic, or at least it will be when I get it open, and I can copy the link across. So people go there and go and take a look. well, hopefully not just take a look, actually go and become a Patreon to UbPorts as well. And we can build that up and then and make some magic happen. So I really hope that works out and goes further forward. So do you think we could rely upon you perhaps coming back on the Kubuntu podcast towards the latter end of this year? Perhaps tell us how things have grown, and maybe we could revisit this and tell us how things are progressing, Marius?
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I think we'd really love you to do that too. That'd be absolutely great. And now, obviously, we've got to get into the next segments of the show. But maybe you'll hang around with us until we finish the show.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's great. Thank you. Fantastic. All right. So, well, it's really been interesting, and I know you're doing some amazing work there. And right after the show, I'm going to go and look at the OnePlus. The OnePlus 3 and the next dock you were talking about. That sounds really exciting stuff. Okay, right. So big thanks there to Marius, and let's get into our next segment. So now, before I go there, though, let me take you on a little journey and tell you about our new sponsor that Aaron has pulled in for us. So this is from Linode, and basically during talks with Linode, they have agreed to sponsor us with an awesome VPS, virtual private server. We've got some super fast SSDs and really great backplane for data connections, and of course fantastic support from the guys there. And so we've got to give those guys a big shout out for providing us with a server for the next year that we can use in our Kubuntu Dojos, and we can also use it as build servers. And of course we're going to be having Yoffel in our community who's going to take care of setting that up and organizing that for us. So thank you, big thank you to Linode for supporting us here in the Kubuntu community. So it's not just on this podcast. Obviously, Kubuntu Podcast is also an integral part of the Kubuntu distribution community. So that sponsorship goes out to the community as well. So we're really grateful for that. And we'll tell you a little bit more about what we've been doing with that in the future and how things are working for us using that virtual private server from Linode. So big thanks to that. I've got some updates in the developer feedback section. As you know, we have a team call meeting before this podcast where we catch up with the developers, find out what's been going on. Key news at the moment, of course, is that Plasma 5.7 has now been released, and there's been a video posted about that, which you can find on our G Plus channel. We've shared it, and loads of improvements. Once again, Plasma 5 is just going from strength to strength. Been some discussion about getting that backported into Xenial. It looks like actually that's more likely to be headed for Yakety. It's not going to be immediate into Xenial backports because we're still dependent on Qt 5.6.1. Now, our awesome super ninja, recently appointed, Asheron UK, has been working hard on this in the background, and he's got Qt 5.6.1 working in testing, but it's given us a few stability issues with some of the other parts of the system as well. So that's going to take a little bit more work, and as you know, we're not going to be putting things into the Kubuntu distribution if it's not stable and it's not ready for production use. So that's a little bit of background news from the developers there. Did you pick up any other additional Kubuntu developer feedback, Aaron, while you were out on your travels?
No, that was what was being discussed before the podcast. That's what I caught. Cool.
All right, that's cool. Good stuff. Okay, so now we are going to have to go with a little bit of an overrun here. We're going to overrun the show just a few minutes, but do you know what? I forget how many times I've been told to relax about the time. Don't worry, just carry on. And anyway, so we're not so punctual, we're not so organized, but that's what you love about the Kubuntu podcast anyway. All right. Let's get our game on. So it's coming over to you now, Aaron, and we've got some little bit of stuff about the Steam group. Put the link in there, and over to you, my friend. What's going on in our Game On section?
So the last podcast, I gave a little hint that this game is going to be ninjas. So I'm giving a little gameplay video for Shadow Warrior that's available on Linux and runs good on Kubuntu.
Look at you. Mama's little demons all grown up. You really don't remember what you did to get banished?
No idea. My memories are there like a blank wall.
I got kicked out of the Amati Roxy Club for life. I can't remember that night either.
Is that supposed to be comforting?
Well, yeah, that sounds really great, and that's a great recommendation. There, if we've got 4.5 stars for that, that's really good. And love the Kubuntu logos for the star system, Aaron. Yeah, buddy, that's great.
I was talking about that. I thought you would really like.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
That's all recorded on my desktop machine with Open Broadcaster Studio and edited in Kdenlive Live.
Excellent. Yeah, so Kdenlive is kind of the primary video editor in Kubuntu. There are other video editors do exist, but you can download Kdenlive from the Discover Software Center as well. All right, great. Well, thanks for another great review there, Aaron. Really appreciate you doing that, and it's improving every time you do it. That's really, really awesome. So appreciate that. That's fantastic. All right. So, well, of course, it has to come at some point, doesn't it? And I'm feeling really bad today because, of course, I didn't get organised enough, and I didn't organise ahead enough for Ovidiu Florin to be here. He has joined us in the show, and but he's kept quiet in the background. And you have my sincere apologies, mate. And afterwards, I will get organised and set up the dates for show 15 and get all of that administration in order. I am going to write it off as a legacy of all the terrible, horrifical car crash show that we had for show 13. But there we are. Okay, so well, once again, fantastic, and thank you so much for joining us today, Marius, and taking time out to tell us about the UbPorts project. Thank you, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been really, really interesting. You're doing some amazing stuff there, and you're working really hard, and it just shows you what can be achieved when you just play around with things and just have a bit of fun. That's what we've been doing in the dojo as well. We've been encouraging that in the Kubuntu Dojo to get set up, come and find out about the tools, play around. Have a bit of fun. You'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Of course, there are going to be many fails, but mastery of any particular mastery of anything simply means that you need to have failed many more times than a beginner has tried. Okay, so it's been wonderful having you guys here with us today. Now you can get in touch with the Kubuntu podcast. You can find out about Kubuntu and the community and all the cool things that we're up to on the Kubuntu website, kubuntu.org. Of course, you can chat with us in the community anytime, day or night. You can find us on IRC, shop.freenode.net in the #Kubuntu channel. We have Telegram groups for support, the cafe, and a Telegram news channel as well. Links to that are all in the show notes. Now, our primary social platform is Google Plus. That's where we operate most of the time. You can follow us on Google Plus. You'll find us as Plus Kubuntu Podcast, and that's where you'll find the show notes and the show events pages and everything else. Of course, get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and LinkedIn. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a good thumbs up and share our videos when you get the chance. So it's been a really great show. It's all worked. Platform's working great. Some guests in the room with us today: Clive Joe, Asheron UK, Human Being, Jim Avantis, Yo Phil. Awesome guys. So glad that you guys could be down here in the studio. And of course, you, my co-host Aaron, it's been great working with you again on the show. Going to say cheerio to everybody now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here on the Kubuntu podcast. My name is Rick Timmis, and I'll see you soon.
Hey guys, it's Aaron. Nice seeing you. Thanks for also good reviews, mentions of the reviews I've been doing. Review on review conception. See you on the next one, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Mario.